Please join me in a warm UMaine welcome for today's featured speaker, Stephen King.
Thank you. It's so nice to be here on another beautiful Maine day. But it's cozy in here, isn't it? We're all side by side, elbow to elbow, just about sitting in each other's laps. But that's the Maine way, and instead of doing this once today, we here on the stage get to do it twice. Actually, we probably deserve that. And I would invite you all back if there was room for you, and if you wanted to come, which probably most of you do not. But this is my tryout. President Kennedy and I have an agreement that if I tank this morning, I will introduce him this afternoon. When you folks were lowly first-year students, I believe the politically correct term is fresh people, I was asked to speak to you at the beginning of your college careers. I believe that the administration had two ideas in mind. The first was to suggest that you too could take a degree at the University of Maine at Orono and make millions of dollars, some of which you would at some point turn around and give back to the University of Maine at Orono. The second idea may have been that I would not only scare you into staying in school, but I would scare you into staying in this school. I wonder if those of you who heard me speak on that day when you were lowly fresh people would now raise your hands. Oh my God, some of you are still here. So you see that in some cases that actually seems to have worked. I rashly did promise that I would come back and speak at your commencement exercises, never thinking that your class would actually ask me to make good on that promise. You have, so I'm assuming that both Kid Rock and Donald Rumsfeld were busy today. In all seriousness, I wonder if you've considered the larger implication of what you have done. I mean, I'm honored, I'm delighted, I'm just about flattered out of my socks, but think about it. You've asked a man who spent the last 30 years of his life trying to scare the hell out of everyone in the English-speaking world to send you out into the 21st century. I'll take it as a compliment. I'll tell myself that I'm worthy of this honor and responsibility because my wife and I have tried to give back to our state and community, and not because I once wrote a story where a man stranded on a desert island tried to stay alive by dining on himself from his feet up. Delivering a good graduation speech is difficult. Delivering a memorable one is close to mission impossible. In striving for eloquence at an important moment of passage like this one, most speakers are able to assemble only the usual bunch of platitudes. Row, don't drift, that's for the phys ed majors. A penny saved is a penny earned, which is for the economics majors. A good man is hard to find, that's for the sociology majors. To be or not to be, for the English majors. For the superstition majors like me, step on a crack, break your mother's back. Very few people past the age of 40 can remember who spoke at their college commencement. Almost no one can remember who spoke at their high school graduations, and that's probably a good thing. In any case, I thought I would try to be brief. I also thought it might be best, given the size of the group and the length of the festivities, to bypass eloquence and go directly to forgettability. It is the prerogative of graduation speakers to tell you what to do with your life, and it is the prerogative of graduates not to do those things. Today we will follow only the first half of this tradition. As the previous speaker did, I will give you a list of 10 things to do, and you will do all 10 of them, okay? First, hug and kiss whoever helped to get you financially, mentally, morally, emotionally to this day. Parents, mentors, friends, teachers. If you're too uptight to do that, at least do the old handshake thing, but I recommend a hug and a kiss. Don't let the sun go down without saying thank you to someone and without admitting to yourself that absolutely no one gets to this point on their own. 2, do not live in this place. If you're a grad student and you have a few more courses to pick up, fine. But if you're still hanging out in Orono and Old Town 3 years from now, living like an undergraduate in some sleazy apartment or trailer park, there's something wrong with you. Oh, you clap now, but 2 years from now, when you're oozing up to governors and saying, never mind. This is not Never Never Land. Peter Pan graduated back in '73 and now has a nice little farm out in Bethel. You are not the lost boys and lost girls, but if you stay here too long, you will grow donkey ears. For most of you, it's time to move on. If you didn't have a better time here than you had in high school, you're weird. If you want to stay here and keep being an undergraduate, you are very weird. 3, don't forget that you're a physical being with a power plant to take care of and maintain. I'm talking about the bod under the blue gown. I'm not going to say that we're a lazy, overweight society, a fast food eating, SUV riding, soda guzzling, beer guzzling, TV watching, size XL wearing, walk, don't run generation. But I guess I just did. 4, don't forget that you're a mental being with a humongous trillion gigawatt hard drive at your disposal. Most of you have been running it like crazy for the last 4 years, moaning about the books that you had to read, the papers that you had to write, and the tests that you've had to take. Yet thanks to that hard drive and about 1,000 billion cups of coffee, you made it. Just let me put it this way. I can find out where you live. I have my resources. And if I show up at your house 10 years from now and find nothing in your living room but the Reader's Digest, nothing in your bedroom but the newest Dan Brown novel, and nothing in your bathroom but jokes for the John, I'll chase you down to the end of your driveway and back, shouting, "Where are the damn books? You graduated college 10 years ago. How come there are no books in your house? Why are you living the mental equivalent of a Kraft macaroni and cheese life?" I sound like I'm joking about this, but I'm not. You've got a brain under the cap you're wearing. Take care of the damn thing. Try to remember there's more to life than Vin Diesel and Tom Cruise. It wouldn't kill you to go to a movie once a month that had subtitles underneath the picture. You can read them. You went to college, for God's sake. Six, give away a dime of every dollar you make. Why not? If you don't give it, the government's just going to take it back. You think you can't afford to give away one lousy thin dime out of every dollar? If you think you can't, just look at the taxes you pay on every gallon of gas you buy. If you think you can't, look at all the sick, unhappy, uneducated people standing outside the fence America has constructed around herself. People who only want a little something for themselves and their families, for their children. Very few of them are suicide bombers. Very few of them are Mr. Bush's enemies of freedom, whether he believes that or not. They might become They might become enemies of freedom, but right now, all they want is a little something to get by on. A little chance at the kind of joy most of you are feeling right now. A dime out of every dollar. And here's a secret I learned 6 summers ago, lying in a ditch beside the road, covered in my own blood, and thinking that I was gonna die. You go out broke. Everything's on loan anyway. You're not an owner. You're only a steward. So pass some of it on. You may not have much now, but you're gonna have a lot. And when you do, remember the ones who don't have anything. A dime out of every dollar. If everybody did it, maybe we could make Mr. Bush let go of the weapons he loves so well and give back some of the money. And give back some of the money that he spends on them to the farmers, the unwed mothers, and the working poor. 7, stay in Maine. 8, stay in Maine. 9, stay in Maine. And 10, stay in Maine. This isn't boosterism. I don't belong to the Elks, the Lions, or any organization where men wear funny hats on Thursday night. I don't do Rotary or the Chamber of Commerce, and I'm not even running for anything, but speaking politically, how about this? We've got a Democratic governor who's cleaner than a whistle and works like a demon all day long because he actually believes in Maine and Maine people. We voted for Kerry in the last presidential election, but we've got 2 Republican senators, 2 female Republican senators, and by today's standards, they're both pretty moderate. In Maine, we elect sane, responsible politicians, which probably says more about the electorate than it does about them. I was born here, I've lived my whole life here, and I'll probably die here. It's probably true, it is true, that my wife and I bought a house in Florida where we go in the winter, but of course, as you get older, going to Florida for winter is the law. It's Maine where I've spent most of my time, and except in black fly season, when I can't imagine wanting to be anyplace else. So, listen to me now. If you move away to Massachusetts because you could get $17,000 more a year teaching school there, you'll just bore everyone about how much lower the taxes are in Maine, how much lower the crime is in Maine, and how much quicker they plow the roads. If you move away to New York to take an entry-level legal, banking, or technical services position, you'll bore everyone about how much you hate spending 2 hours on your commute. And when you tell them you used to get lobster for $5.99 a pound in Ellsworth, they won't believe you. If you move to Texas to work in computing or science jobs, you'll bore everyone with complaints about how your children are lost in big anonymous schools and you are lost in big anonymous housing developments. When you tell them that there's never any pollution in the air to speak of north of Portland, although don't the mills stink today in Old Town? They won't believe you, and after 5 years of the smog in Denver, you won't hardly believe it yourself. As for Los Angeles, you could give me the key to the city, and I'd drop it in the nearest mailbox marked Return to Sender. Let me tell you a secret. Right now, you're sitting on the ground floor of the greatest place on earth, and the elevator doors are wide open. We've got job and career opportunities second to none in technology, education, recreation, agriculture, fisheries, science, and land use management. When it comes to energy resources, well, let's just put it this way. When the people in New York and Washington are burning their stock portfolios in their ovens to keep warm, we'll be nice and toasty around our wood stoves, eating beans and saying, "Aya." And if that makes us hicks, then a hick is just what I want to be. North of us, north of us is the county, a woodland treasure house as big as the rest of New England put together. South of us is another splendidly huge area of land, most of it agricultural, where anything and everything is raised, from apples and honey to alpacas and horses. We've got a state lottery, which I hate, and a state education system, which I love, and of which you are now a part. I promised I wouldn't keep you long for my part, that I'd cut to the chase, and so I will right now. The place to start giving back is the place where you are right now. This can be home if you want it to be. That Maine needs you is something that you will now hear frequently, because with your new skills, your new education, your youth, your energy, your enthusiasm, you're a valuable and sought-after commodity. You will be wooed enthusiastically. What you will hear less frequently, and need to hear, I think, is that you need it as well. If you leave Maine, you will miss it. It slips into your mind. It becomes part of your dreams and inhabits your heart. 5 years after going, maybe only 3, you'll either be planning your first vacation back, they don't call it vacation land for nothing, or scheming a way to get back for good. So why don't you cut to the chase? Just skip the going away part and stay here from the beginning. This is the ground floor. This is the good place, good to work in, good to live in, good to raise a family in. Of all the places in the United States, God touches Maine first with sunlight every day. Some people think it's so we'll get up early. I think it's because He likes it. He likes us best. Congratulations on your graduation. And after you've forgotten the rest of what I had to say, remember this. Acknowledge your good fortune by sharing it, and show your good sense by sharing it in Maine. You'll never be sorry. Thank you very much.